shop, support small businesses. So, ladies.
Yeah.
So, hi everyone. I'm Cayenne. I am Coach Law. I have been so busy over the last couple of days because of school and some personal things, but I am your inner healing coach, and I'm the one that can get you back up after you've hit rock bottom.
Amen for that.
And I am Carla Zhu Ikamwa.
I'm so childish. I'm so childish.
But anyway, we should focus. I am the founder of SheHub.tv as well as the Women's Empowerment Summit. And we are having our 8th annual summit in Bermuda on next week, Saturday, November 25th, but it is sold out. So I am so excited.
Wow.
This has been a movement that was created grassroots. I am a lover of all things empowerment, and I'm happy to be here today.
Yay.
Wow.
Yay.
That's nice.
So as always, we have an interesting email, and after I read it, I'm gonna just say that I'm probably just gonna shut up a lot through this email because I'm such a punk. This is really about friendship. I'm calling this. I'm such a punk because it was telling me off about like growing up. So I could just imagine me in this whole situation right here. And once I read the call, it's gonna be like, yeah, that's you. So as always, hey sis, this is Keisha, and I really need your help. 2 years ago, my best friend Samantha, of course, name replacement, was going through a really bad financial time. Her car was about to be repossessed, her credit cards were maxed out, and she was extremely stressed out. Backtrack, Samantha and I have been best friends for over 15 years. I feel like there isn't anything we haven't been through. Samantha told me about her struggles and also that she had been to her mother and asked for help. And her mom told her that she was grown and she was going to have to figure it out. After watching my friend stress to the max, I sat down with her to discuss me lending her the money. We went over all her overdue statements and everything added up close to $10,000. We discussed me lending her the money with a few requirements. 1, she would sign a promissory note. 2, she would begin to pay me back $700 monthly, 6 months after me giving her the loan. I wanted to do this because I wanted to give her a chance to save some money in the 6 months. 2 years later, she has paid me back. Jamaica. 2 months later, she has paid me back a total of $2,100, and each payment came after I asked her for it. The crazy part of all this is she is now planning her wedding. A year later, she met her fiance. Things moved really fast. 4 months after meeting, they moved in together, and now they are planning the wedding. Now, this isn't just any wedding. The theme is the royal wedding. The same mom who wouldn't help her daughter out of this difficult time is now forking out thousands on a dress, cake, venue, etc. I am not sure if her fiance knows about the name, but this wedding is moving forward. To top it off, she has asked me to be her maid of honor. I am stuck and I don't know what to do. How could this be my best friend? A part of me wants to agree to the wedding and not show up on the day. A part of me wants to ask, when is she planning to pay me back? Do I wait till the wedding is over? Do I pull out? Do I ask? Do I take a court? I'm so stuck. I don't know what to do. Please help. I said me be poking out, but she's getting married. Like, I'm just gonna leave her. Yeah, I'm a punk.
That's the answer.
Yeah, but realistically. So, who wants to go first?
I'm just going to take a deep breath. I have a few points on the answer, but my initial reaction is sometimes we get ourselves into situations and we're expecting other people to act how we would act.
Yeah.
That's my initial reaction. She didn't say that her friend approached her. She said that she approached her friend, right? In addition to that, realistically, if my friend is in that financial position and just $10,000 dollars in debt. Can she afford to pay $700 a month?
Well,
Realistically,
she did
is that something that
say,
she could afford to do?
but I think she didn't say, and I was wondering that too. But by her saying that they sat down and went over things, I'm assuming that she came up with that number because she could afford it. But even if she couldn't afford it, there seems like there's been no effort because it seems like she's only made back 3 payments, so not even 300, 200, nothing other than
You
the
said
three.
at 21
Yeah,
2100 over 2 years is what I think you said,
Yeah,
right?
yes.
Right. So it's the friend that's written in, and that's who I'm answering for,
Mm-hmm.
right? And sometimes we have to take the accountability, and sometimes we are going to have to step up, not continue to act in a toxic way. I think that she should approach her friend. I think she should have a conversation with her friend, if that's who you consider to be your friend. And then you take action afterwards, depending on what was the point of you signing a promissory note if you weren't going to act on it,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
in my view.
yeah,
But I think also her getting married and her living her life has
Hey,
nothing to
Shay.
do with, you know, she could still get married. Just because she owes you money doesn't mean that she shouldn't get married. Now, of course, where the money is coming from and all of that, you should just have a conversation with your person, in my opinion.
I agree with you on the conversation part for sure, because I think also oftentimes we assume stuff, right? So like she talked about her friend's wedding and it's called a royal wedding, and really I say this, yeah, it's none of her business because you're mixing apples with oranges. But the whole reason I think to have the we don't know if the husband's fiance is paying for the bulk of the wedding. He could be paying,
Mm-hmm.
and she may be just paying for a small portion of it, right? We don't know this, and this is why I think the conversation is important, because if not, you're gonna build up a conclusion. The friend is gonna build up a conclusion that could very well be wrong. Now, the hers on my neck stood up when she said accept to be the maid of honor, and they are
And
not
not
still
show
up,
up.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Have the conversation, and if even if the conversation is like, look, yo, I lent you this money and you haven't paid it back, and nor have you had a conversation with me about it, and if it's no resolution, then say, you know what, I can't be a maid of honor.
Mm-hmm.
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 Leave her stranded like that on her day, and purposely do it.
Mm-hmm.
What sense does
I
that make?
think for
Mm-hmm.
her, she's probably, obviously she said she's asked for the money a few, every time she's asked about the money, she's gotten a payment. So I guess she feels like she's not going to get anything until she asks, which is why she should ask. Another point, she said, remember, she said the mom didn't want to help her out of debt, but now the mom's forking out all this money for a wedding. I mean,
And
that's what, maybe she had a little stash for her wedding. We don't know. Maybe she just wanted to teach her daughter a valuable lesson, because of being in debt and having a wedding is two different things, right? But my thing is this: there, like you said, there needs to be a conversation here. But my thing is this: why 2 years later? Why 2 years later? Every month that she doesn't pay you your money, it should be a conversation. Every month, I haven't seen your payment this month. Like, what's going on? Now she's built up all this resentment, and the friend is getting married, and now you're like you said, I might not show up, or I don't know what to do. But why is this conversation not being had all this time?
so to me, the resentment is around principle, not around the money,
Yes,
right?
Mm-hmm.
yes, I agree with that.
Because if she needed that money, she wouldn't have waited 2 years to have the conversation,
Mm-hmm.
right? Money, and she has every right to have it. But I don't think, and even for her to offer it, that 10 grand wasn't gonna break her, right?
Mm-hmm.
On the flip side, it doesn't matter if she had 15 grand or whether she had 50 grand. That's her money.
Yes.
But I do think, again, like, this is where a conversation is so important. And it's more like, for me, if I did that, I would feel more disrespected that you don't value our friendship. Because
Mm-hmm.
I'm not 10 grand. I mean, I know some of y'all out there balling, but 10 grand is not a
It's a
little
lot
money,
of money.
That's a lot of
right?
money.
So she gave it because she wanted to help her friend. Now, if she had 11 grand and gave her 10, I think she would have been saying, yo, like I remember one time I lent somebody money that affected my mortgage, and they said they would pay it back before my mortgage date, and they didn't. And it jailed me. It made me short, and I was upset, but they knew that I was upset. But if you sat
Mm-hmm.
and ate this for 2 years, I think the bigger thing is, as a friend, how could you do this to me? As opposed
Mm-hmm.
to 10 grand. But no, I remember one time I was in a bind and I asked a friend if they would lend me some money. And this is what the friend said. And although I felt some way at the time, I really respected. They said, babe, yeah, my girl, but don't take it personal what I'm about to say. I don't lend money to friends
Mm-hmm.
because I value my friend.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't
Mm-hmm.
pay back, it's going to be problems.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
To preserve our friendship, I don't lend money.
Yeah.
And at that, because I needed it, I was like, wow, like that's cool. But I respected it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I
So,
think it also comes back to the narrative that we've discussed many times on this platform is communication,
yes.
right? And I think oftentimes we're just expecting the other person to think how we think, or we're just too afraid to have a conversation. And if you are calling this person your friend, friend enough to lend them to $10,000, right? I mean, how many of us can actually say, oh, we have enough money to lend out that amount of money, right? Um, I think it just comes back to having healthy communication. And that is one of the things within our community that we are lacking. We fail to tell someone when they hurt us. On the simplest of, cases, a friend has said something that rubbed you the wrong way. You don't want to have a conversation with them and tell them, you know what, when you said that, I actually felt like it made me feel this, right? So when it comes down to money, if you were going to lend that amount of money and have a promissory note in place, you yourself with that self accountability, you didn't uphold it, right? Meaning, like Angel said, approaching that person each month and saying you haven't held up to your end of the bargain. What are we going to do about it?
Mm-hmm.
What is the next step? As Carla said, going back to the principle, that's where your frustration is coming from. It all comes down to communication. And then, secondly, in regards to the mother and her mother wanting to help out for the wedding dress and paying for the wedding, I don't know if this is in Bermuda or wherever it is. Many mothers are going to hard at. Sorry, I forgot where I was. Are going to
Okay,
are
rest
going
enough.
to I don't care, but are going to treat their daughters very harshly, right? And they are going to be like, you're going to have to pull yourself out of that hole. And when it comes to those joyous moments, oh, it's my daughter. Let me come show you off. Let's go do this, right?
Absolutely.
But not necessarily, oh, I'm willing to help you get out of that. In comparison to if it was the son, it would be like, okay, how much you need? A, B, C, D. Not all mothers are like that, but there are some. And you cannot um, get angry or even feel a type of way because her mama doesn't want to help her out of a bind. That's none of your business, really.
But I also feel if we're friends,
Mm-hmm.
why should I have to beg you to pay me back
Mm-hmm.
when you
Mm-hmm.
didn't have to beg me to help you?
Yes.
Rather, because if one of you came to me and said, hey, like I have a mortgage, right? If one of you came to me and said, hey, Carla, I could give you $100,000 towards your mortgage for $1,000 a month.
Mm-hmm.
I can't afford that. I'm gonna say to you, no, I'm sorry. I appreciate it, but no. But she took it, right? Why would you do that? Why would you take your friend for granted? And I'm a person too. I wouldn't beg you. I'm not gonna beg. I hope that. But you said it, Laki, is that people, we need to stop expecting us from others,
Yes.
right?
Mm-hmm.
But if you're my girl, I shouldn't have to beg you to give. That should be the incentive for you to give it back to me because I'm your girl. But as we all know, I say this respectfully, because it's not a broad brush, but our friends and our family piss on us the hardest sometimes.
Oh,
Mm.
definitely, definitely. And I think people assume. Me and Carla always talk about this, like how people assume I'm probably like really rich, I'll just take it. But Carla is people probably think you're lady because certain things people will just say and people really don't understand I won't use the word struggle, but the process of being an entrepreneur.
Mhm.
You know, I say that as like if she's lent her friend $10,000 and she may think or she may know that her friend, she's all right, she doesn't need it. And that's what she doesn't. I don't. If it's mine, it's mine. I can remember a conversation I had. This was ages ago with a friend of mine. Much like me, loves clothes and shoes, and one of her friends, helped themselves to some of her stuff. One day they were at her house, and she was like, "You took my jacket, you took," and she was like, "You have so much stuff, you wouldn't miss it." She's like, "It's mine. I don't care if I have 100 pairs of shoes; they're mine." You stuff, no matter how little or how much they may have. And again, but what about me? What about the person who was kind enough to help you keep your car, help you pay with your credit cards?
Let
And
me
also, yeah,
first moved out here. I'm in the UK for whoever may not know me. Lived out here for almost 7 years, right? When I first came out here, this girl done a post on Facebook, and I grew up across the street from her family. So we kind of grew up together, from little. And she had done a post on Facebook and she was clearly economically distressed, right?
mm-hmm.
And I came out here, I didn't have any support system. And I'm just setting it up contextually. So I inboxed her, I'm like, "Are you okay?" And she was like, "Yeah." She was like, "I'm about to be evicted." And I think at that time she had, I can't remember if she had one or two children, but she's about to be evicted. And she needed, I want to say, 300 pounds in order to um, keep her place. But she lived with her boyfriend, right? And I, part of me had a problem. But I was like, this girl's got children, and as a mother, I'm not gonna let another mother suffer if I can help it.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, "How much you need?" She told me, and I sent it to her.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, "You can give it back." She goes, "I pay back." I was like, you can if you want to, but if you don't, it's okay. So I made my peace with the fact that I had given her this money. But what irritated me, we went somewhere and she happened to be there, and her and the husband are buying drinks and smoking. And that really got to me. But
No
I had
function.
to check myself and say, but hold on, you gave her that from the bottom of your
Yeah.
heart. So I mean, $10,000 is a lot of money, but I think sometimes we also have to really look inward to question the why. Because if the why is not peaceful for you, then don't do it.
Yeah.
Because that would annoy you. It's just talking about the dress and the theme, and really one has nothing to do with the other.
But
But
anything she does is gonna, if she goes away, if she gets a new car, if she buys a new couch, it's gonna annoy her because she's if it's gonna be like, I remember my stepdaddy saying to me, "Don't ever lend people money that you can't do without. If someone asks you for money and you say, oh, that's gonna hurt me, don't give it to him." He always used to say that. If you could give it to him and you never got to think about it again, if they give it back, if they don't, he said, but never lend somebody some money if you really can't afford to just throw it away. Because most times that's how it works. You know, that people just give them something and it's gone. He said, consider it gone. And if it comes back, consider it a bonus. He always used to say that.
so let me ask you later something. If you were in that situation, would you end the friendship?
Oh gosh.
So
Yes. My sissy ass. I
let's
will want to.
come back. For me, I think I will come back down to if I can afford to give my friend $1,000, then it's more the principle behind it. 1,000 we're speaking about, right? So if I could give my friend $1,000, it's more the principle. I'm gonna have the conversation with them. But I also feel like I'm gonna have that conversation if it was 10,000, right? But I also would want to put something in place. And of course, I'm not the same person that I was 5 or 10 years ago. I probably would have a different view. If I was broke, I would be like, now listen, I need the money back, ABCD, right? And I think people move different when they're in different financial positions, because you may, if you're not in desperation mode, you're going to act different, right? But I think it all comes back down to communication. Would I want to lose a friendship over it? I would be happy that my friend has found a fiance. I would be happy that she's happy. I would be even wanting to assist her through that process. But I will take her to brunch, have a conversation, and say, you still owe me this money. How can we make it work so that you can give it back? What's the expectation? And if I don't receive it within X amount of time, I want to use it to purchase a house. I want to use it to buy a car. Maybe because she doesn't think there's any urgency, there's no need for her to quickly pay it back to you, right? Whereas she's trying to get her life together and you already have your life together. Could be many reasons, but I don't think I would want to lose a friendship over it. If it's a true friendship, I wouldn't want to lose a friendship.
That's a hard question for me, because I feel like, and because it's happened to me so much, and I'm not speaking in the terms of lending money. I'm just speaking in the terms of being taken advantage of. And for me right now, although I struggle, because I am a very forgiving person. And sometimes that's a blessing and sometimes it's a curse, because people learn that they can do things to you over and over and you're always going to forgive them. But I've learned that I'm learning that I can be this forgiving person, but I don't have to be your friend. You know what I mean? And I think for me in this moment, I would forgive her. I might even still be in her wedding for her, but I don't think I could ever be that best friend with her again, because I would truly feel like I've been taken advantage of. And that for me now is a huge struggle with meeting new people and letting new people in my life, because I'm a very giving person, right?
So
And,
with you thinking that you've been taken advantage of,
mhm,
are you having a
I'm
conversation to
having
see
a
if
conversation.
you've actually been taken advantage
I'm
of?
definitely having that conversation, but for me, that someone could be so, I don't even know what nonchalant, or just that, how could you truly care about me and you're made no effort to pay me back this money that I gave you?
But then I couldn't be any better. See, this is where for me, and I'm not saying any of you are like this. I'm saying I can't do fake, right?
Mm-hmm.
If I feel some way, I can't be in your wedding. So if that money is bothering me to where I have resentment, I can't sit up here and
Right.
be a maid of honor.
And I get that, but for me, the type of, I'm ever still gonna want the best for you. And if you feel like this is what you want for your day, I'm gonna give
No,
it to you. That's just,
my
but
problem.
you're never gonna feel, yeah, and that's just me, right? The overly always worrying about how the next person feels. And that's truly again something that I'm working on, that put myself first and stop always worrying about hurting somebody else's feelings. Mind you, I can go to when I need to. But for the most part, I'm just that person. And that's just my personality. And I know with that comes people that take advantage. Andrew will do it. Andrew will say yes. Andrew will help me just because they know that Andrew's that person. I've been taken advantage, and I'm not even talking about financially, but I've been taken advantage of so much that now it's just really, for me, scary who I let in my life and who I call a friend, because I've been through so much with people in general, on my kindness, on being kindness, and then it just turned right around where I was being taken advantage of. So that's why I say I would feel that way with her. I would feel like,
So
then the nice part on me is like, oh, I want her to have her day, but I know that me and her can never be close like that ever
But
again.
do you discuss finances with your friends? Like how would your friends know, or and I mean it's so subjective, but is it because they assume, because just for example you have a Gucci bag, do they assume, or do you discuss finances? I mean, I don't see anything wrong with it if it's the right friend, whatever
Right.
that
Yeah.
means.
So if we're talking about this situation, because remember, she offered to land at this situation, but if we're talking about personally my situation, I would definitely discuss finances with you, Carla. But then there's definitely people I would never dare. You know what I mean? I would never dare, because there we go again, taking advantage. But and I think as you grow, you friendships give different things. You know what I mean? Friendship gives different things. So I know who I can discuss certain things with, and I know who I can't. And that's why I'm very selective on who I really consider my friend at this time in my end stage in my life. Like I'm very shut off. And I have
I think to be clear, I think to be clear, what you are speaking about, and especially for people who are listening, it is not the money
It's
no,
that we're actually speaking about. It's the principle behind it. And I think that's where you're losing the, that's where you would lose the relationship.
yeah.
Um, and I think anyone would basically feel that way. It could be the principle about anything for that matter, right? Doesn't necessarily need to be money.
And that's
And I
what, yeah,
also respect that you would have the conversation with the person beforehand as well. As you say it, it's being taken advantage of. And I think we can all agree on that particular point. For myself, I think a lot of it also comes back to a person's money story, right? I have a friend who money just comes to them, just flows to them, right? Whereas it's more harder for someone else. And although you wish to adapt that type of money story, but I just can't see myself losing a friendship, losing a family member over money. I'll get angry and you would hear it and we'll have that conversation. But I love you enough that I'm not going to let it disturb what we have.
right. And again, I think for me it's principle, because she offered the money, so she must have had it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I don't know personally, but I don't think anybody would, maybe I will because I'm a Dixie sometimes, but offer the last penny. So
I
maybe
call you a gypsy if you did. I think, I mean, you are very compassionate, right? I know for me, if like if I won the lottery tomorrow, like everybody would know, and not because I would tell you, but because if I like Lakia got school fees, I'll pay off your school fees. And you need whatever, I'm gonna get like they'll see these people around benefit.
Mm-hmm.
I've always said that if I had work, I could just give abundantly. Even now, I purposely listen when people talk to me about the struggles they have, because if I had the money, literally, like even down to a couple of old school teachers in my children's lives out here, bang, I would drop them a few grand. Here, this is for having this role in my son or my daughter's life. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
I just think if you value, I am huge. I'm an empath, so I value people,
Mm-hmm.
and sometimes I value people too much. And yeah, sometimes I value people who don't value me,
Mm-hmm.
mm-hmm.
right? But if you said, Angel, Carla, either one of you, I need food, and I say to you, how much is food? And you tell me $25, and I have 50, I'm gonna give you the 25,
Yeah.
because
Mm-hmm.
that space of that blessing is going to come back. I don't do it in order to get back, but I know that the good Lord above sees your heart. And
Exactly.
when you give from the right place, it comes back.
Yeah.
I firmly
Mm-hmm.
believe in that,
Mm-hmm.
right? And out here, hey, and everyone knows in Bermuda, you make lots of money compared to just looking at
What
it,
you make over
right?
here.
Mm-hmm.
I've learned people money in Bermuda from the UK who make far,
Wow.
far than me.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think, I just think that a person that would take advantage of that, they they may not value you, not that they disregard you, but they just take you for granted.
That's a
And
good
some
point.
people
Yeah.
may not even realize what they do, which is why I think
Mm-hmm.
communication is so
Needs to
important,
happen.
right? If I owe someone money, now with bills different. So we're not talking about bills, we're talking about personal loans, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like if I borrow money, like I have one relative, if I'm in a bind, I'll hit her up and I'll say, hey, can you lend me this until December 31st? right? And she'll be like, sure. And if I didn't pay it, it wouldn't stress her. But out of respect, because I value her, I pay the money to her in the time frame in which I promised. I've never owed her a penny because I've always honored my word. And I think that's where the value comes in, is
Yes.
people who honor
Mm-hmm.
you.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
There got one time with me, the person that lent money from that messed up my mortgage, they could never ask me for money again, even if I had it in abundance, because you messed up my mortgage payment.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But AWOL. That's the other thing too. If you
Say
can't, be
it.
honest. I'll contact
Say
you. And
something.
Yes.
I told you that this money by November the 17th, but Angel, I don't have it. Can you give me some grace? At least talk to you and tell you this
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
instead of
I think it comes back to that communication. And I think the more that we have these conversations around various topics, people are going to learn to speak up and have the conversation, right? And I think also people have to be receptive to hear. It may not be the answer in which you're looking for. You want your money and they're coming to you with a storyline. It may not necessarily be what you're looking for, but be open to willing to hear their story, and accept it, and that's why if you're closed and shut off, the person may not necessarily want to have a conversation with you or tell you, the last time that they said, okay, I'm going to be a little bit late, did you jump off on them? They owe you $10,000. They may be late a few times, in that pay period, right? So you're going to have a conversation with them and just be open to what the story is. And if
So hard.
it's a promissory note, if you feel like you have to take it to the next action, then do that. You have that note to back you, so do it.
So she's asking, is she having this conversation with her before this wedding, or she just waiting to after wedding, letting her have her moments, and then going to her after the wedding? So
If
what
you
should
want to be toxic, my answer is if you want to be toxic, then you do what you feel is best. But if you want to better yourself, then approach her before the wedding. You wouldn't want that to
but
happen to you.
not
So treat her
I
the
don't mean her
same.
not showing up. I mean the conversation. She said, am I having this conversation
She
before the wedding or
should
after?
have she shouldn't even be asking that. Should I have the
Should have
conversation
had
or should I just not
every
show up to her wedding? It sounds like you want to destroy her and it sounds like you want to be toxic.
just
For what
like, yeah.
purpose?
You know,
so
sorry, I guess
yeah.
broke up a little. I'm just trying to look at it from both ends, right? And it is being that person that is always the giver. I would never do that, by the way. Not sure if at a wedding, but I can understand her frustration. And like you said, Carl, it's apples and oranges, but to her maybe not, and she can't separate. And she's looking at this moment she's having, and this or this expensive dress and venue, and here she is like, and who knows? She might not be coming out of pocket a dollar between the mother and the fiance. They might be covering the whole wedding. But still, in that moment, she's looking at her doing something extremely expensive when here she is owing her money. So,
Well, that's why I just think she should have the conversation before the wedding, right?
Mhm.
I don't even think after is an option. Um, Regardless if whether she can afford to take that hit. Clearly she can because she's going 2 years with any 2100,
mm,
right? But have that because also I, I don't know. Um, it's a momentous occasion in her life, which means her life is on a new trajectory.
yes.
And I think that she would want to clear that path so that she's not taking, not even that she's aware of it, but taking this old stuff into her new life,
Yeah.
right? Because imagine if the conversation is after the husband's all upset because his wife's upset, and she's like, well, it just causes beef or what have you. Maybe I'm overthinking it. But to me, have that clearing conversation, whatever it may be, before the wedding. And so that when she's on her new path, even if her new path means rearranging the arrangements, you know what? I told you 700. I really can only afford five. But now that I'm married to Joe and Joe carries the most of the bills, I know I definitely can do five.
And Carla, I'm gonna ask you this, Miss Newlywed. So she she owes this money. She's getting married. Is this something she should have disclosed to her husband before getting married? Because we talk about finances, we talk about children, we talk about all these things. So even though it's not a company that she owes this money, like she's in debt on her mortgage or she owes on her car note, she owes this money. So is this a conversation that she should have had with her husband? Listen, I owe such and such $7,000. Is this something that he should know before?
That is such a good question, because I was literally just having this conversation this morning with my daughter, actually. That's a hard one, because I feel you should be honest about what your debts are,
Mm-hmm.
right? Your husband, your future husband or your future wife, right? But are your personal debts his or her responsibility? Oh, when I say responsibility, meaning should they help you, or how do I put this? Because I don't like saying people should do this or should do that, right? But loosely speaking, should they help you to do this? I don't think the answer is yes. If he, like, I have a mortgage, right? So one of the conversations that I've had with my husband is like, look, I have this mortgage in Bermuda. I pay rent here. And so therefore we've discussed it, and he's like, okay, well, I want to ease your burden, so I can help with this. But I feel when it comes to personal loans, like if I owed you money, Angel, would that be my husband's responsibility to help me pay it back? I would say no, but that's because I've always been a breadwinner. I've always been sole provider. So it's even uncomfortable for me to discuss with my husband money, because it's just been me. So he's actually easing me into a new realm of life of ego is together.
Yeah,
So personally would not discuss it with him, because that's a loan I took up with you, Angel. But with my mortgage, because God damn, I'm paying, sorry to you Christians, I'm paying it for so long. He knows that that's a long time burden that I have.
right.
I think because that can really impact our life together as we go forward.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, that's a
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a maybe different answer for every different couple. You know what I mean? I read something recently that a couple was getting married and he paid off every single debt she
oh,
had. Every bill, every credit card. He said, I wasn't marrying my wife for her to come over and I'll start this new life as one with her having outstanding
that's
bills.
beautiful.
So starting off our marriage clean. He didn't have any bills. He had money, obviously. She even paid off her student loan. Everything was paid off. So they could start this life together fresh and new. But then I do get what you're saying as far as, and it's hard for women that have been so independent for so long to kind of open up about those things, or even think that it's someone else's responsibility when it's been your responsibility for so long. You don't even know how to share that or to give some of that burden to someone else, because this is what I do. I take care of, so I understand what you're saying. You're now like, wow, like you feel like, okay, I have a partner now and I can kind of relax a little bit, where I'm over, so I got to do this on my own. I got to do this on my own, you know? So
I think I think it also will come back again to that money story, right? For me personally, I feel your debt is my debt
right.
if we're getting married.
Mm-hmm.
And I understand that it was a personal loan that was taken out before me. But if we can knock that $8,000 dollars off immediately, we could be using that $700 for something else, right? Within our family to build. Um, Maybe we want to buy a house together. Maybe we want to buy a property where he lives, wherever the case may be. I think it would be vital for us to go through all of the finances. I read on social media quite often scenarios such as one person, especially in America, where one person might have student finance and they're going into this marriage and the husband had savings beforehand, and the wife's like, I'm going to go pay off my student finance. And I think all of that needs to be discussed beforehand. And I also think it's also important when it comes down to child support, because if I'm marrying you and you owe 10,000 in child support, and that money is constantly going out of the household, why can't we just bring it down to zero, and then we can use that money to build a house or to do something else with? That's just my opinion on that, right? I guess everyone sees it differently, but for me, I want to know it all. I don't want to marry you and then find out, oh, you owe your friend X amount later on down the road. It will then be a matter of trust. And especially because I'm this alpha female, I'm done everything by myself. The minute I get married to you, I'm relinquishing so much to you, right? And if I can't trust you to take care of that piece, then it's just not going to work.
So you actually raised a very good point, and it's a conversation that I was having just yesterday. And again, for the last 20 years, since I've been on my own since I was 18, right? No one has ever paid a bill for me. A few people's helped me here and there, but overall, I've been primary provider for two of my three children, and I mean, sole provider for two of the three, and primary provider for the third one, right? So having to be relied on is all that I knew. One of the things that he's teaching me, my husband, is like, this isn't on you by yourself anymore, right?
And is still on here? I saw him join.
He had logged on, I don't know, but he is teaching me so much, because the other day he asked me a question and I was like telling him an answer broadly, right? And he said, no, I want specifics. And I say, well, respectfully, why? And he was like, because I'm your husband and it's also my responsibility. And it was yet another reality check, because I'm always been the one, I need to figure this all out and make it, and it's just me. And I mean, now my children are entering into adulthood, right? But I've always been me and three minors, so everything falls on me. So psychologically, it's different. I am very on money stories. I am very uncomfortable discussing finances, because I've always just had to find a way to make a way. And now one that's willing to take all this burden off of me, and it's weird.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Extremely weird.
Yeah.
So this conversation is actually taking some twists and turns I didn't.
That's fine. That's what it is.
You know, awesome. But it's honestly, for those of us who are alpha females and always have been providers, having introducing, like, you going back into the original question of, should your partner, because we said husband, but it could go either way, right?
Yeah.
Should your help you? And it's like, damn, like, that is what a partner's supposed to do. Now, it's funny, because if he came to me and said, I have this amount of debt, I would find every way to take care of that debt, but yet I feel comfortable if I feel it's the other way around. Isn't that so strange? Oh, he just said something.
Is that here?
Yeah.
Yeah. Read it. Read it out loud. Come in.
He said, I also think it's cool to discuss with your partner about whatever financial issues that arise, whether they have the cash immediately, they might help or sort through it. My thoughts, though. Shout out to my boo. But no,
so weird.
But I have to give him kudos. I really do give him kudos, because he is making me expand in my thinking, right? And that's all supposed to do. It speaks to me, which no partner ever had here. It's not just about you anymore. This is us. And I have, in my 49 years, have ever been told that by a man.
Yes.
Now, okay?
And you know, it's crazy because I've been married twice, you know that, right? And my first marriage was very young, you know, I don't even really talk about that so much. But Jason and I always talk about Jay because he's my best friend and we have the weirdest relationship, right? Because we're still best friends. But financially with him, he made a hell hell of a lot more money than me, right? I didn't even know it was such a thing like our paychecks getting into the same account, our paychecks just paying bills. I could do what I want. Like he really didn't care. As long as the bills were paid, he had food and drinking money. He never, and I was just like, is this normal for a man to be so giving? You know, if I said, Jade, I have this bill, I didn't just pay it, Angel. Like he never made me feel, and yes, he had the money, so it wasn't like we were struggling together to try to pay these bills. He as he was big on paying bills. So I don't want pay everything off, pay it off. What needs to be paid, pay it off, right? And I didn't even know like because my first marriage, I was young, and I really didn't even know what I expected out of a husband, right? And then I got Jason, who a lot of my expectations I didn't even know I had until he showed me that this is what a man should be doing for his family.
Mm-hmm.
And it was weird to me. Like you said, it was weird to me that I can just go watch this man's pay, go into the account and just use my card, and this is his money. And he's be like, "It's our money." Like, what do you mean? Like, so now, like, even though,
Hours.
yeah, it's always, and to today, Jay will still would do anything for me and my kids, but it has built like in this single life of mine. I know that if there's ever another, I don't think husband, but another serious partner, that's one of the things that he's gonna have to show me. And I don't mean support me because I don't need a man to do that, but I also don't want a man who's just stuck on this is yours and this is mine. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? I feel like at this point in my life, I need a man to say, check your email and it's my itinerary and I'm meeting you somewhere in the world. Like these are the things, honestly, because
Hey,
yeah,
babe.
this is, and if not, if I can't find that man who's openly giving, and I'm not saying he has to have a whole heap of money, because tickets to Miami from Jamaica are only $170. So I'm saying that to say I need someone who's giving, and that's gonna help me live a life that I want to live at this point. It may not be to pay my bills because I don't need them for that, but I definitely need a giving man. I don't want to
I,
ask you for anything. I will never ask you for anything, but I
I,
want to be spoiled.
as much as it's uncomfortable, I am in that space
Mm-hmm.
now, right? Um, I've never, and we've him and I've had these conversations. Like I've always been the breadwinner. Like every relationship that I've been in.
Dennis,
Hi,
sorry.
DJ. I've always paid for everything,
Yeah,
right? People
yeah.
would believe otherwise, but I have always been the breadwinner. And it's funny because even flipping it with Cayenne talking about like with the child support, right? The amount of child support that I'm in, I wish that the person had a partner that would say, "Hey, what do you owe your child? Let me help you pay that." Because if my husband earned money to pay for his child, I'm gonna help him pay that
Mm-hmm.
money
Yes.
and help, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you said that, you really trigger me because I'm like, gosh, if only, because that's like 30 grand, and I can do a lot with 30 grand, right? So, but I do think we with us we're all born in, I think we're all born in the 70s,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So we're all born in the 70s, and I think that even the time that we were raised, I think that we were raised in a time where women had all these rights and we were raised to be strong and independent and all of that. And I truly feel that that has not been to our generation's advantage, right?
But it's still going on. It's still going on into this young generation. I think a lot of it has to do with culture, especially on the American side. When I came over to the UK, it was like a breath of fresh air for a guy to to be saying the different things that he wanted to do for me, and I had to take a step back and say, okay, he's not doing it because he's trying to get something from me. He's actually wanting to do it because that's who he is, right? And that was a step back. But like you, I've always been alpha, always been one to take care of every single thing within my household. So if I am going to find a partner, he definitely would have to come with his A game above what I've been able to do, right? Because I want to relinquish, I want to submit in that particular way. And if I can't rest, really, if I
Yeah.
can't rest, then I would find difficulty in trusting him, wanting to marry him, wanting to talk about finances if I can't rest. And rest to me probably is the most important, because what will be the point of getting married?
Now, see, I've cultivated my sons. My sons are now almost 18 and almost 14. And I guess because of my experiences, I have probably beat it in their head that they must. I even say to my son, Tommy, forget on a date, because that girl is not pulling out her wallet to pay. I want you to pay. I do not want you living off a female. I do not, like, I am beating it in his head that
Mm-hmm.
he must cultivate himself to be a provider. Now, I'm not saying
Mm-hmm.
advantage of.
Yes.
No one will ever be able to see that either one of my sons are leeches, right? And
Mm-hmm.
my daughter, it's important for my daughter to have these. And I have to say, at 22, she's far way ahead than I was at 22.
Isn't it crazy
Mm-hmm.
looking at them?
Huh?
Isn't it crazy looking at your daughters and just being in? I didn't mean to cut you off,
I,
but that
I
I love it though.
girl,
the
it's
I love
it's
looking and seeing how far, because I'm saying, you know, obviously our children should go farther than us,
listen.
should be able to stand on
Yes,
our shoulders and get so far ahead. And so for me, it's like I've done a good job
sometimes you
with
just
what
please
with what I had.
pat
I
yourself
did a
on
good
that.
job.
You do. I just came back from Bermuda 2.5 weeks, and I stayed with Zoya. She has her own apartment also. That's the well, she had her own apartment in the UK, but of course, that's different because you get the assistance and all that. But she's got a job. She's graduated uni. She's got a job. She's got her own apartment, and I stayed with her, and I just watched her. I said, I before I left, I reminded myself that I was going to my daughter's apartment,
Mm-hmm.
and I had to keep my house quiet on the way she chose to run her household with my grandson. And I just watched her. And so many times I just wanted to cry, but she probably been like thought I was crazy because the level of pride, just watching her with him, just watching her like run her household and have everything on schedule. Mom, can you pick up Zace between this time and that time? And waking him up in the morning and everything's so scheduled and she just has her shit together. And I'm like, look at my kid. Like, look at my kid, and I'm just so proud of her. And she's so humble and modest that she'd probably be so embarrassed that I'm even talking about her. But she just really, I'm just like, wow. Like, wow, you're a grown woman with a whole kid and she's just doing her thing. And she hits me up last week and she said, Mom, you can meet me in because she's coming here in March. She said, can you meet me in Miami for 2 days? Because some of my friends are coming up. And she's like, can you meet me so you could look after Zay? So she could have, she's like, I'll send you a ticket. I'm like, dang, this is going to be
no, I
nice.
can't.
Like, I'm like, girl, just email me my itinerary. Like, she just has it together and it's just not pressed by nothing. Like, if she wants to go football game, I was up, Coral Club. She says, oh, I just popped in to see you. I'm going home because I got to get Zay sorted for tomorrow. And I'm just like, she's not pressed about being out. She just is doing her thing. And I'm like, I really have to sometimes say, like, I done a good job.
You
It
gave
wasn't always
her the
yeah,
rings. You gave her the rings,
and
and they at least they're able to fly, and
yes,
that's what I love about it.
but
Wholeheartedly.
I'm like at 25, I had her, she was 3. And I want to believe that I was doing a great job. But looking at her and remembering like how I done things to how I'm just like, wow, like they just are us on a better scale, and it's to see because that's what you want.
That's what we want. And it's
That's
funny
what
because with Kiki, she makes me giggle because she says, and it's a male thing, I guess, in this generation as well, because you talked about it where, oh, this is what I could do for you. This is what I could do for you. And that doesn't, to some females, that's such a draw.
it's so boring.
It does nothing because just like you cannot do what my no more than what my mother already does for me. And we
Mm-hmm.
people because she always says, you know what, Mama, I tell her man straight, you want to be with me, you have to take care of me better than the level that my mother does,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
She
Mm-hmm.
will not just bow down to anyone that's offering to
Amen.
take her to a dinner. I
Exactly.
have to giggle because it's making me think of Letitia, who's usually a panelist here, and
Mhm.
how she's traveling and her children eat all this fancy food, and she always says again anew that going to
Mhm.
just is it
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
And
so
yeah, because for me, I don't even know that I understood my mom's struggle when I was younger because I never
Mhm.
met without anything.
Mhm.
Like everybody used to talk about how spoiled I was, and I was the only girl with five brothers. So if my mama didn't give it to me, my brothers would. But even growing up, I was never really like, oh, I need a man to do this, I need a man to do that. I never really sat in those thoughts. It's not until maybe since divorcing Jason and having that kind of man that I'm now like, I don't know that I might be single for a minute because there are so many requirements. And I don't think I'm overboard with them, but I just know now what I desire. And I'm like,
Mhm.
my daughter already knows that at 25. And here I am at 47, just kind of figuring it out. And I'm just like, this is amazing. We don't realize how much of an impact we have on them. My nephew said he had a conversation with my youngest daughter's boyfriend, and he was just like, hey man, I really gotta work hard to keep up with this girl. And my nephew was like, well, you know who her mommy is? Like I let my daughters know, like they never been without, and I'm sorry, that's how it's gonna be. And that's how a man's gonna have to be also, and I'm
Mhm.
just glad that they got it a lot earlier than I did.
I will say one thing I am appreciative of is my daughter, while she has a lot of my qualities, taken a lot of good things from me, I love how sensitive she is. Where I'm
Mm,
so hard, right? I
mm-hmm.
love that she still loves, that she still believes in love, right? Not to say I don't believe in
Oh,
it,
you got to
but
ask
I can see the beauty in her relationships and how she interacts. And I say to myself, man, you didn't mess that part, you didn't mess that part up. At least she didn't take that part from you. But you know, I think it is a beautiful thing, and to see them grow, to see them in a relationship, in healthy relationships,
yes.
it's a wonderful thing. And choosing, being able to choose correctly, right? Not to say that the heart's not going to get broken along the way, but how they choose to deal with it, not in a toxic way, it's refreshing to me.
I think you need to remember that your daughter probably loves so much because of the love you gave her, even though you feel so harsh
Mm-hmm,
and hard.
mm-hmm,
You know,
mm-hmm.
she has that because of the love that you gave to her.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
maybe you're
yeah.
not as hard as you think you are.
Not now.
But
No, I'm a little soft, a little bit, a little
yeah,
bit.
I'm still waiting for update on dates, but I had the nerve.
January, man, January. I need to get through this semester of university, and I'm coming out with a personal coach app. So I have a lot of things on my plate that I just can't even think to add
Yeah.
that to the plate. He's gonna have to wait until January. But I believe if his, if he is, he is. He'll just come,
Oh,
and he'll come at
exactly.
the right time.
That's how I feel. I feel like the universe just connects people, and no matter what you're doing, or how deep you're in, or how busy you are, or how you only leave home once a week to go to the grocery store. If you're supposed to connect with someone, the universe is gonna make it happen. I mean,
uh
Carla's the perfect example, right?
listen, I will not share that love story publicly yet. And people keep saying to me, they keep telling me, you need to write this book. I'm like, yeah, the story's still being told about just period, the evolution.
Yeah.
But yeah, it may come. We met in a very, to some, unorthodox way. But real.
24.
It was real. And, to
But
each his own. So
But nowadays,
it's
Yeah.
how many things are truly unorthodox, right? I mean, I don't know the story, but nowadays, how many things are truly, maybe 20 years ago, you used to just walk down the road and you met someone and he would approach you and say, oh, hi, can I have your number? But now dating is completely different. So,
swipe
Definitely is
left, swipe right. We didn't do that, but I have a friend who she lives here in Manchester, and she said she had given up on dating, blah blah. She loved doing to plenty of fish, and she met this guy, and they've been married. And she's a mature woman; she's in her late,
mhm,
and they've been married for 8 years, right?
See?
wow.
Wow.
And to me, only dating is terrifying, right?
Oh
But
yeah.
it worked for them, and it's like I remember. So quick diversion. But years ago I did, what was the big one? when we were younger.
Harmony. Yeah.
Harmony.
So, did eHarmony, and you know how it asks you if you ever done it, like 10,000 questions, right? Filled it all out, but my name on there was Lauren Smith. And they asked me for a picture, and I was like, no, because they didn't like looking for a stranger. That's weird to me. And it used to always message me and say, how do you expect to find someone, Lauren, if you don't put a picture?
I'm
And then
laughing so hard right
they
now.
put my real name, but no.
Look, I did it right. I got ornament to submit, and no, I can't. So
I'm
now
sitting
it's
here.
you
I'm sitting in the UK. I'm sitting in the UK, and I'm going on some really great dates.
Really?
However, in the last year, I closed them all down because I was like, I'm on social media now for another reason, and they'll be swiping across and seeing me on TikTok or something. So listen, I was like, no, we can't be having that because
Well, I'm
But
like dating.
ready to submit, and I was like, I can't. But now, of course, you already put in your email, so I just keep that. They seem to complete my profile. I'm like, delete. No, I can't.
you're
No, no.
But
funny.
some people live by it,
Yeah.
and they that stories, right? I went on. I remember one time I did sign up for Plenty of Fish, and I had like 240 notifications
Wow.
in like 50. And like, I'm not talking spam. I'm talking real life. And then the killer for me, though, this is so funny. I can laugh now. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna do. They had a site just with African men, right? Now, no offense to my white friends, but tell me why.
Your husband.
No, I didn't find him on there. No, we didn't
No,
know.
no, no. You said no offense. No offense to your. You said no offense to my boyfriend.
No offense to my
Right.
white friends. I
Oh, white. Sorry, apologize.
because 70% of the men on this African dating site were white men, and I'm like,
Mm,
why? I lived in because Key live in Manchester, lived in Salford, right, which is not too far
mm.
from. And he goes, hey, I live in Salford and I'm married to a beautiful African woman and we're looking for a person to add into our throuple. Would you like to join us? And he gave me his number.
Wow.
I so fast. And they said, why are you leaving? And I was like, because it's too many white men. I thought it was an African website, right? But
Wow.
internet dating can be really, really intimidating. And then who told
Mhm.
me news? And it was these gay guys they met, and one of the guys they met on Tinder, and he murdered him.
Yep. It's happened so many. It's happened quite a.
Wow.
Listen, it's happened a lot. It's
I did not
why.
know that.
Yeah. Listen.
No.
I'm just like, it's gonna have to. I'm gonna have to like trip on these sidewalks. Just have to catch me or something because online dating. I'm just scared. Period. Online is just scary. And then it's like, is it really them? Like, is it really the picture? It's like so many. I don't
I
know.
think
You have to
now with the fact that you could FaceTime people, you could video
see that.
call people, so you can immediately see if the person is who they are. But the thing is, I don't even want to go on video with you. So
Angel, do you remember this story? I had Andrew dying laughing. I had met this guy before online. He literally video called me, and I don't know what they're saying, but it was a picture, and they got the lips to move, right?
what?
It was
His lips were
clearly
moving. Nothing
a
else.
scam, clearly. And they
Mm-hmm.
had a still of this guy, and the lips were moving. I was like, I must look stupid. Blah, blah,
But
blah.
it works for some people because I was watching this scam the other day, Scam Fish, and he scammed the lady out of $500,000.
Oh,
And
What?
listen, and they were like, "Have you ever spoke to him?" And she's like, "Oh, he sent me a video. Remember, I hit you up because it reminded me." And here, this man is standing like a statue with this mouth moving, and she really thought it was him. She's like broke. She's had $500,000. I'm like, sis.
I would
It's
date.
not even his like this.
I would date her for $500,000. What are you talking about?
I'm
That's
like, maybe I should call his
crazy.
number.
Some people are just absolutely, and honestly, for those who know how I met him, like some people are like, what? But it was real. Look where we are now,
Yeah,
right? And
absolutely.
we built that from nothing, right? And it's funny you talk about video call, because I remember one time he video called me and I didn't answer. And part of the reason because I was in bed looking a hot mess, right? And I was like, "Why?" And I said to him, "Why are you video calling me?" And he said, "Because I know it's so many disingenuous people out there. I want you to know that I'm real."
Mm-hmm.
Right? And I appreciated that. And I remember he was traveling, and when he landed where he was going back home, and he took me on a tour, and he was cooking, and I met his daughter, I met his daddy, I met his brother. It was no way that it could be a scam, right?
Absolutely.
So he
Right.
went out of his way to make me comfortable in who he was.
Right.
So then when we meet in person for the first time, it was like it didn't feel straight. And Angel, remember, I traveled. He sent Angel my tracking. He sent Angel a
Listen,
picture. So
I
I
was like,
see
Jesus. And by then I had spoken to him. We had each other's WhatsApp, so we kind of built this like rapport. But I was still like, listen, the minute you see her, and so he sends me a picture. I like call her at the immigration desk. I was like, okay, let me know when you got her. Okay, let me know when you're at the apartment. Okay, let me know. Until
But
she
that's
could
what we
tell me,
would do for our
okay,
children, right? That's exactly what we would do
no,
for our children. If that was your daughter, you would say, now listen, if you're going to do this, somebody needs to know
yeah.
ABCD. So
Even
absolutely.
from the beginning, like I was never supposed to call her traveling there by herself, of course, right? But I from the beginning he made a point to make me comfortable. Like I'm like, look, that's
Mhm.
my girl. So you need to know right now. And he's like, I don't have any problem, like anything you need from me. And like I said, she landed and had a picture of her like her passport in her hand. Like he was like, she's here. She's like, hey. It's like,
and that
okay.
was a love story, right? So all you
Yeah.
guys have your
And I thought I did it.
I
But
love it. So get ready to write the novel, please, so we
one
could all be.
day, one day. No, but I mean, I on a real, I've been asked so many times to write a book because a lot of people don't know my real journey, right?
Mhm.
And this about the story is still being told because you know how life always evolves, right?
yes.
But I do think I'm getting there, and when it moves me, then I'll do it.
Yeah.
Um, but this life has been awesome. And someone said to me yesterday, they were like, I've been on your WhatsApp for 3 years now, and to watch how you have evolved as a woman, and to me that is such a compliment, right?
Yes.
Mm.
People will tell you I love to turn up and we're unafraid to hook with anybody. Like I just was who I was, and I didn't care. I'll fight in public. I'm shut down. What's that club called? Up the steps, Captain's Lounge, fighting, right? And I'm just like, nah, because I have my baby's watching me,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm in mourning right now because my youngest is gonna be 14. I have a 14 and
Mhm.
a 22, and just this morning
Mhm.
I want to do a redo, but then I'm like, nah, because you wouldn't be where you are today, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
And
So
I really sit back and look at that. And so things that used to bother me no longer bother me. You want to
yeah.
have an opinion on whatever, whatever, peace to you. I still get pissed off, but I just don't react anymore, right?
Yeah.
That's right.
Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah.
So,
And
this one day that book's going to come, and it's not going to be a fake biography. It's going to be real. So yours going to
God,
have tea, but not in a breaking down way, in an empowering way.
yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
You got it.
And I think it's the time a lot of people that I know at the moment are certainly coming out with their stories. And I feel you have to be ready. We've already had that conversation, but I feel that you have to be in a place where you're ready to tell it.
Yeah. You have to be. You have to
Mm-hmm.
be. And I think these lives is helping
Girl,
stay sweet.
listen,
Boy,
he
listen.
gay. He gasses me. I'm here for it.
I would gas it up. Yeah, these lives help me to be more open about I can remember my best friend when I was young. She said everybody just say stuck up. And it was not that I was stuck up. It was just that I kept so much to myself
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
until I got older and I had relationships that I can honestly share about things that I've been through because
Mm-hmm.
I just maybe it looked like I was living this perfect life
Mm-hmm.
because I just didn't share what I was really going through. And it wasn't until all the deaths hit me at once that I realized, if you keep this up, you're going to end up just depressed and sick. Like, it's got to be a way for you to vent. And that's how I Am Enough came to life, because I was like,
Mm-hmm.
I was never the type of person that, God, let me tell you what happened to me. And because I didn't share, people thought that I was just, oh, she's stuck up, she's living this, she thinks her life's perfect. I didn't. I just didn't know how to share, because I grew up rough. I grew up with 5 brothers. You don't sit here and whine.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
you just get up and go. And that's how I lived. I just got up and I just went, and then until I stopped. You know.
But I will say this real quick, as someone who has been known and judged, I'll say judged, as an oversharer, right? And
Mm-hmm.
in that stage of my life, for that block of time, like I was pissed off. Let's
Yeah.
call it, right? And I never lied. See, that's the one thing. People could never say, oh, she lied. They'll
Mm-hmm.
just, why is she saying that? Right?
Right.
And I used to always say, people that hate the truth is because they know that you're telling the
Oh,
truth.
absolutely.
But I'll say this, when, and I've said this before at prior events I've had and stuff, people listen when your vessel changes. So
Mm-hmm.
when you talk from a place of anger, vindictive, bitter, blah, 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 nobody wants to hear that, right? They
Yes.
hear it so they can talk about you, right?
Yes.
But is it from a place of care? No. But when you change your voice and you change your vessel
They can
and
hear you.
you use it for purpose,
Yeah.
people begin to hear you. Because me changing my voice, my story has never
Right.
changed.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Mm-hmm.
all. I'm not sharing unless it can empower or touch or rise up. But I will say this to you, Angel, what you just said. What people, and especially because we all come from, the three of us come from Bermuda, which is a very small and intimate community in the grand scheme of things,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
We don't know anybody's shit. We sorry, Key. We don't owe anybody anything.
Mm-hmm.
If you,
Mm-hmm.
Andrew, because you just say you've been married twice. Let's just say you're on marriage number 7, just for example,
Mm-hmm.
right? You give nobody an explanation for why you got married 4 more times,
Mm-hmm.
but we sometimes we feel that we have to explain ourselves to people. And I used to be one of them people. Well, let me tell you what he done to me.
Yeah. And I'm not. But I'm just like, okay.
Right? We don't owe people explanations, and I
Oh, God.
so amazing when people have this demand of thinking that we have to explain something in our lives to them. I think that is the most bizarre behavior ever. This sense of entitlement of knowing.
Yeah.
Where does that?
I.
I'm shaking my head because I've had the conversation with someone that the only thing that they see me doing on social media is the coaching and for my work, and they don't see much of my personal life, right? And I say, well, my personal life is private. It's I don't have to share every single thing out there. And for those people who matter, those people who I want to know, it's something secret, something nice that I can share with them. When I first moved over here, I hadn't spoken to a particular girl, I want to say probably in 6 months. I connected with her and she told me everything about my life. She's like, I didn't need to call you because you told me everything. I saw the pictures, I saw everything that you was doing, blah, blah, blah. And I would realize I was like, I don't need to share everything with everybody. And as Carla said, I don't owe anybody anything. You're not paying for my journey. You're not helping me along the way. I'm making choices for myself. The only people I owe are the people who I love dearly and care about. If I want to share it, it's because I want you to know, and I feel like you could be touched through that journey or you're able to see it. But it's because I've made that choice to share it with you, not because you feel like I had to.
Right. And I think that's where I am now. I feel like that my story or the things I've been through can help someone else. I remember my mom always telling me, like, she never really cared what people thought about her. She just did it. And I kind of, I always appreciated that. But I also felt like I held a lot of things in. And not to say sure publicly, like I wouldn't even talk to my friends. Like I just kept everything to myself. So when things would happen, like I got divorced, people were like, well, where the hell that came from? Even the people that were closest to me, just because I didn't share. But I've learned with that, that's not the healthiest way for me. So I don't think I would be an oversharer where I'm on, and I'm telling everybody. But I do feel like sharing with the right people is helping someone else to also be that, and everybody has a different strength. I always say, gosh, you're trying to push I am enough. You need to get on face to face and kind of talk more and send out these videos. But then I'm like, no, I don't, because that's just not who I am. That's not, I don't want to be on here talking about how women should be empowered. This is how I'm doing. You know what I mean? So I just feel like I have a story to be told, but I share it with the people, with the right people, and then they have a movement within them because they've heard me share personally. Like I'm just not that person. I couldn't tell you.
You have to know your circle. You have to know your circle, because there's certain things. For example, I know if I'm heavy, I could tell you the only person who I can talk to is you, Angel, or my daughter, right? There are certain things that no one on this earth knows besides you two, right? There are I would say, like, one thing I could say with Uche is that he is very clear, like, as husband and wife, we don't keep any secrets, and we talk about everything. But there are also certain things that you can talk, you don't want to talk to a man about, for example. The three of us, the four of us, were in a chat group together. We talk about certain things in there, right? So it's where your safe spaces are, and it doesn't mean that one circle is any less valuable than another. Certain people serve certain healthy purposes, in your life. But I do think that it comes through growth and maturity as well, right? And I laugh because people thought that we have broken up, right? And when I purposely, I had it all orchestrated. I knew I was going to make the announcement that we got married after we got married, right? That day. And someone messaged me and said, girl, are you trying to break your Bermuda internet today? Right? And when I was showing him all the comments, he couldn't believe it. I was like, you're welcome to Bermuda, because this is what you're in for. And people are messaging me and saying, oh, I thought you guys broke up because you hadn't posted him. But I made a conscious decision that I would protect him, right, from the Bermuda internet. And I know some people might be like, what she means by that? But you know what I mean. I had to protect him. So one again, do no engagement announcement and none of that. Here's my husband now. And I don't care what you got to say. This is my husband.
And that goes back to what I was saying. Where did you see me posting him, and how did you know I wasn't posting him? Because you're always following every single thing that I'm doing, right? Instead of calling me, having a conversation with me, how are you doing? Do you feel a type of way, A, B, C, D, but yet you're just sitting there waiting? Oh, they broke up. No, it shouldn't go that way. And for me, WhatsApp statuses is my pastime, right? So I'm only gonna look at it if I have nothing to do. I'm so busy that I don't even have time to be looking at people's stuff. Most times I'm looking at it is because I'm picking up my daughter 11 o'clock at night from work, because I'm just sitting there like, okay, what am I gonna do? Let me just look through. But it's not something that I'm constantly doing because I'm so busy enjoying life, right? And I want other people to be out enjoying their life too. If they have a problem, let me give them a call and speak to them about it. I don't even know what you're up to, unless you told me. Unless you had a conversation with me.
But I'm selective about whose I look at. But even if I looked at all 200 peoples that I see, it's not for them to owe me any explanation about.
I want to today. Not everything I post is about me saying mind your business, because I have two. I have my business fan and I have my personal fan. And on my personal fan, Carl will tell you, I am the biggest clown. I post the funniest. Don't let me see somebody fall down. Like, I want you to look at my status and just laugh. Like, constantly sending me laughing faces, because I post pure garbage on my WhatsApp. Like, if you are really looking at my WhatsApp and thinking you're trying to figure out my life, oh Jesus, good luck with that. And then some people want to post their whole life, and and if if posting makes you get it out there, like, is that your way to vent? Well, by all means, post your way, but you're never going to be able to figure my life out by looking at my WhatsApp status. You'll be so confused, completely confused.
when we got married, right? People were literally, this was the most bizarre thing, and I tell Angel about this. People were messaging me and asking me if it was a prank. Now, you saw the dresses, you saw the cake, we had the small reception, right? The people partying, and people's like, is this for real? And I'm like, so even a girl said to me last week, she said, I honestly thought it was a prank. I said, who goes to that extent to
Loose back for
Why do I need to prank my own life and get married? Like, what objective? I'm out there making moves. I have a seminar that's about to come up, and I'm worried about putting myself in a wedding dress.
people ask me repetitively? But then, okay, and I have to share this because I had a rant with Angel earlier and another friend of mine. The rumors that I have heard about our relationship is ridiculous, right? So I'm going to use Angel's platform with her blessing to just to dispel and ask, like, where do you people got this stuff from? Someone literally said that they heard that he had more than one wife, right? That I wasn't his first wife.
So where
Someone said,
did they hear it
because
from? Where they hear it
they
from?
said, and I warned him, right? Because he will be in Bermuda soon. And I've warned him that this is the Bermuda culture, right? So be prepared. And it's hard for him to conceptualize because it's from a country with millions and millions of people, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I looked at her pictures. She looks so happy, but what they said, I can see it. The picture that he's a schemer.
Like, through the picture, through the whole picture, they figured him out through a picture that is a scammer. Huh?
Then
I
today,
need that skills. I need that skill.
I got
Wow.
it. Yeah, but Key, today I got a message. Someone said, "Oh, yeah, someone said, oh yeah, he ain't married her for a visa," and I'm like, no, he didn't. He didn't want to come to the UK. Like, he don't rate the UK. But this narrative that, and this is one day, but we have to have an open conversation about why are people so upset when people are genuinely
Yeah,
happy.
but how do they even know to that extent where this man is? We guys talk often enough, right? We talk often enough. I don't know anything about your husband. I don't know that he's in the UK, out of the UK. It's not for me to know, right? It's honestly not for me to know. And also, I trust that you are skilled enough, from what I have seen, to
Mm-hmm.
choose wisely now, right? You are at a point in your life where you can trust yourself, trust making your own decisions. And so clearly, you are going off of, or these people are going off of the person I used to be and not the person that I am.